きゃ。
なんで。
Hey everyone, it's Mark. This is my recap for Pokémon Journeys episode 75, Cresselia, A Midsummer Night's Light. This was the 1160th episode of the Pokemon anime, and the ending to Dawn's Return arc. I really enjoyed this episode, and the preview for the next episode gave us a lot to talk about as well, so let's just get straight into it. The episode picks up where the last one left off, with Ash and Go searching for Darkrai while Chloe and Dawn have found Cresselia alone and wounded. Dawn recognizes Cresselia and tells Chloe about the time she saw it on Full Moon Island back in the Diamond and Pearl series. Cresselia is initially threatened by the girls, but after Eevee tries to talk to Cresselia, Chloe remembers something her dad said about how Pokemon and humans can understand one another. Chloe takes the risk of approaching Cresselia and explaining that they want to help it, and this actually works. We've seen Go do stuff like this before in Journeys, and obviously Ash has done similar things as well in regards to communicating with Pokemon, so it was cool to see Chloe be able to earn the trust of a legendary Pokemon just like that. Dawn starts treating Cresselia's injuries with some herbal medicine, and we get another flashback, this time of Dawn learning from Brock way back in the day. They eventually sit down to eat, and Chloe says that she saw this interview about a contest on TV, and Dawn reveals that the legendary coordinator in that interview was actually her mother. This leads to an awesome conversation that I was not expecting to happen, but it did make a ton of sense. Dawn talks about how she started her journey having the same goal as her mother, to become a top coordinator. This directly contrasts Chloe's story, who grew up having a Pokemon professor as a father, and everyone just assumes that she will follow in his footsteps. I can't believe I didn't even think about this connection between Dawn and Chloe. They have entirely opposite reactions to the pressure that they each feel trying to follow in their parents' footsteps. Anyways, this conversation transitions into Chloe talking about her Eevee not evolving, and Dawn brings up how Piplup chose not to evolve, which of course resulted in Dawn giving him an Everstone back in Diamond and Pearl. Dawn decides to show off what performing in a contest looks like, since she wants Chloe to try competing in a contest herself. It turns out that the same promotional shot we've been seeing over and over again for the past month was just Dawn practicing for a contest, not actually Dawn competing in a contest. Piplup shows off its signature Whirlpool technique, which impresses Chloe and especially impresses Eevee, so much so that Eevee basically begs Chloe to try it herself because of how much Eevee wants to copy Piplup's appeal. Chloe looks incredibly embarrassed as she copies Dawn's Charm Up catchphrase, which is her usual Spotlight catchphrase in the dub. Eevee gives it her all, using Copycat to replicate Piplup's Whirlpool, though, as you saw at the beginning of this video, Chloe and Eevee don't exactly have the whole coordinator thing down just yet. Although it was a little disappointing to not see anything about the actual contest in either of these two episodes, I still thought this little practice session was more than alright. It was a fun way to reference contest and show how Dawn is an expert, while Eevee is just happy to try anything, even if her and Chloe aren't the best at it. Alright, dream sequence time. Chloe and Dawn each fall asleep, but they seem to be trapped in the same dream, where a group of townspeople fall asleep and look to be having nightmares, which is unsurprisingly courtesy of Darkrai. Cresselia eventually comes in and saves the day before Darkrai flies off again. I'll admit, I didn't really understand what this dream meant when I was watching it for the first time, but having the full context of the rest of the episode gave me the idea that this was Cresselia dreaming about how Darkrai can't help itself but give people nightmares, and it feels dejected and lonely because no one will ever like it thanks to its bad dreams ability. We finally shift over to Ash and Go for the first time properly in this episode. While they aren't having any luck finding Darkrai just yet, they do find a sleeping Bonsly who is having a nightmare. Subtle Brock reference maybe? I don't know, that's not important, but what is important is that Darkrai is now literally right behind them. That was quick. Ash actually plays directly into the typical Darkrai stereotyping. He tells it to stop giving people nightmares and to just go back to New Moon Island. Basically, Ash just told a Pokemon to go away and stay alone by itself. Not a very Ash thing to do, right? But of course, how is he to know that Darkrai actually means no harm? Darkrai does fly away, and it actually goes directly to Cresselia and the girls, who also try to tell Darkrai to back off. Wow, this poor mythical Pokemon really is misunderstood. Cresselia tries to tell them that Darkrai means no harm, but they are interrupted by Team Rocket jumping in and trying to capture Darkrai. And the Rocket Prize Master gives them Dusknoir and Lunatone, aka the dollar store ripoff versions of Darkrai and Cresselia, which I thought was pretty funny. Darkrai fights them off while the others run away, and just as they reach the shore, they get some more unexpected visitors.
誰か来る。みんな気をつけて。
I thought this was a funny moment and a nice way for the reunion to happen. They fill Go and Chloe in on most of the basics of their relationship, but Ash is too easily distracted by the fact that there's a legendary Pokemon right there, while Chloe and Dawn joke about how they both think Ash is a bit of a Pokemon freak. Ash and Go discuss how Darkrai probably was the one who injured Cresselia, but Chloe jumps in and tries to explain to them what Cresselia has been trying to say all along, that Darkrai isn't the one attacking Cresselia, it's actually protecting Cresselia. Just then, the Matori Matrix shows up out of nowhere. Took them long enough. Matori ever so casually tells her grunts to eliminate our 4 heroes, which leads to a battle. I will say that I thought this battle scene was really well animated. I don't have as much of a keen eye for animation as much as some people, but I did really appreciate the action going on here. Of course, I have to obscure part of it on screen right now to avoid copyright, but that doesn't change the fact that I thought this was a really fluid battle animation and it worked really well considering this was a very hectic 4-on-4. Darkrai shows up again, and this was pretty epic, seeing it battle alongside Ash and friends, and while Team Rocket was holding their own before, they are no match for Darkrai, so they just try and shoot it with their airship instead. They actually manage to knock Darkrai down, but Cresselia steps in and uses Lunar Dance to fully heal it, and that's bad news for Team Rocket. I loved this shot. Darkrai looks like it's ready to kill someone, while Cresselia faints in the background, since its signature move Lunar Dance causes Cresselia to faint in order to fully heal an ally. Darkrai is in total control now. It disables the airship with a Dark Pulse before putting everyone to sleep with Dark Void, including Jesse, James, and Meowth, who didn't officially blast off before. We didn't get any resolution to what happens with Team Rocket after this. Everyone was just left there sleeping. I'm guessing the next video call between Matori and the Team Rocket trio will be even more awkward than normal. Cresselia is still weak after everything it has been through, but Darkrai breaks apart the clouds to let the moon shine down onto Cresselia, allowing it to use Moonlight to heal itself. Fun fact, this is actually the first time Moonlight has ever been used in the anime, which is kind of crazy considering that it's been around since Generation 2. Now that the day is saved, Cresselia and Darkrai head back to their respective islands, and this is the scene where it goes over all of the context that explains the events of the past 2 episodes. Darkrai is a Pokemon who is eternally misunderstood because it can't help but give others nightmares. Thus, it isolates itself away from society and lives a very lonely life. Cresselia seems to understand this, and they speculate that it chooses to live on Full Moon Island so that it can keep Darkrai company. Go points out that Chloe really understands Pokemon now, and finally, all of the craziness of the past few days is over. The scene changes to the next day, and Professor Cerise calls Chloe to ask how she's doing, and of course, Chloe hits him with a "no need to worry." I wonder how long she'll be saying that after this arc. Back at the Cerise lab, the eggs that the professor was looking over have hatched into Piplup, which amazingly I actually predicted. We were joking around about this over on my Discord server during the week about what might be in Professor Cerise's egg that caused him to miss the family vacation, and I somehow got it right by predicting that it would be Piplup. Anyways, Ash and friends have shifted into full summer vacation mode and are just enjoying a day out at the beach. Chloe wants to get a move on to go to the contest, but look at how much fun the Pokemon are having. They just decide to play around in the water instead, and the anime gives us some real glamour shots of everyone before ending the episode on one final group photo. I'm giving this episode an 8 out of 10 rating. There was a lot of potential for some bingo tiles to get checked off this week, but none of the events actually happened in this episode. Oh well. Overall, I did really enjoy this episode. I am a little surprised that I ended up rating the previous episode higher. I gave that one a 9 out of 10, well this one was only an 8 out of 10 in my opinion. So I'm curious to hear what you all thought about these episodes down in the comments. Really, I think the main thing holding episode 75 back was the amount of expectations people had for it. Me personally, I just thought it was going to be another Chloe heavy episode and that the arc would climax with the Team Rocket stuff. I got all that I could have asked for with the Chloe and Dawn content. I think that was fantastic, but the actual showdown involving Team Rocket, Darkrai, and Cresselia was a little bit of a letdown. It was cool, don't get me wrong, but it actually played out fairly straightforward and predictable. Like, at no point were Team Rocket ever legitimately threatening to succeed in their mission, so that took some of the suspense out of the episode for me. With that being said, I still thought this arc lived up to how good I thought it would be. If I just average these 2 episodes together, I would rate this arc an 8.5 out of 10, which is really good. I think some people may have had their expectations too high for these episodes, which meant that they may not have enjoyed episode 75 as much, but that's really their own fault, not the show's. I ran a couple of polls over on my community tab this week. Most of us were correct in predicting that neither Cresselia or Darkrai would get caught, but I'm guessing most people were expecting more from Ash and Dawn together, as well as actually seeing some of the contest. I didn't mind when we got to see in this episode. Like I said before, I really enjoyed the scene where Dawn and Chloe were practicing the contest appeals, and what else really was there for Ash and Dawn to do together? High five? Are some people really upset that they didn't high five? Who cares about a high five? So yeah, maybe some people just had different expectations than I did. I was pretty confident going into this arc that it was going to be mainly focused on Chloe, and wow, I thought she was fantastic in these 2 episodes. When Dawn was announced to be returning, I didn't really understand at first why she was chosen to help with Chloe's character development. After watching these 2 episodes though, I now totally understand why. The best example of that was in this episode when they had that conversation about their different feelings towards following in their parents' footsteps. There was a lot of little things in these 2 episodes as well that really made Dawn a perfect choice to come back at this point, so I'm really glad that she did. Well, I think that the order of Ash's old friends and rivals returning is somewhat random. I do think it's a trend that will continue. Which of Ash's old friends do you want to see return next? If your answer was any of his Alola classmates, then you were probably disappointed by the preview for the next episode. Episode 76 of Journeys is going to be only the 2nd episode this series to take place in Alola, and, well, the last time they went there, my episode review did pretty good. So I've been waiting for another Alola return for a while. It looks like Ash and Go are going to be competing in some kind of race, or catching race, or something. These complete randoms look like their competition, and they made a big deal about using a Z move as well, so I wonder if we'll see Ash use a Z move, or if we'll get anything in the direction of Go receiving a Z ring in the next episode. The other 2 notable things in this preview was, 1, it looks like Team Rocket will be reuniting with their Alolan family, so that's nice, and 2, there's going to be a little reference to the Ash and Passimian stuff. Well, let's just hope that Ash doesn't put on blackface this time around. I'm sure I'll talk about this more when the episode actually rolls around, but I am really glad that we're getting an Alola episode without any of Ash's classmates. I think that's such a restrictive plot point that whenever Ash goes to Alola, he has to see the people that he knows. He doesn't have that narrative obstacle in any other region, so why Alola? Obviously, Ash is a big deal in Alola, but I'm glad we can just get a random episode there. It's kind of crazy that less than 3% of Journeys episodes will have taken place in Alola even after the one next week. Wait, not next week. I should point that out too. The anime is taking a 1-week break. I'm pretty sure it's because of the Olympics. So this Alola episode won't happen until Friday, August 13th. I think the Paralympics will cause another week off later in the month, so don't expect too much Pokemon Journeys in the month of August. Of course, the Pokemon anime discussion never stops over on my Twitter and Discord, so feel free to join me there if you want to talk about this 2-part special, or anything, quite frankly. Make sure you leave a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.